Hey everyone, welcome back to LT Gaming. Today we have something special for you. The highly anticipated early access release of Norland is finally here, and we've got an in-depth review just for you. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Tom, and here at LT Gaming we keep you up to date with all the latest gaming news and insights. If you want to stay informed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. And remember, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to drop a like as well. In today's video, we're going to be diving into Norland's early access release. We're going to review the game, explore its gameplay mechanics, graphics and sound, discuss its pros and cons, share some community feedback, and finally give our overall impressions to help you decide whether it's worth your time and money. Let's get started. Alright LT gamers, let's dive into the world of Norland now. This gem comes from a small indie dev called Long, and believe it or not, this is going to be their first title. But don't let that fool you, it is already showing quite a bit of promise, and it is published by Hooded Horse, which is a name you can trust in the gaming community, so I feel it is in safe hands. Norland is a medieval colony sim where you get to lead your noble family through some truly turbulent times. Imagine dealing with class conflict, religious struggles, political treachery, all while trying to keep your people happy and healthy. You're tasked with also uncovering the lost knowledge of a fallen empire, engaging against secret plots versus your enemies, and navigating a world full of intrigue. The game at its core is all about generating complex, rich stories in a living world. You're managing a budding noble family in a society that has it all, from crime to economic crises, personal feuds, secret murders and spectacular battles. And on top of that, you have to deal with your neighbours as well, diplomacy, trade disputes, and even some vassal states thrown in. The backdrop is a post-imperial world where the old empire has crumbled and left behind a bunch of successor kingdoms. These petty lords and ladies are constantly at each other's throats, whether it's through cloak and dagger schemes or outright warfare. So in these uncertain times, it's up to you to lead your kingdom to greatness and ensure your noble family's survival. Now let's talk some early access. Norland's early access is packed with all the features you can find on its Steam page, and we're going to explore these in detail in our review. The devs have ambitious plans and plan to stay in early access for around a couple of years, they've stated. They've outlined two main directions for development. First is the more classic, expanding on the game's breadth. Think of new technologies, buildings, fortifications and so on. Weather mechanics, changing seasons, wild animals have also been touted as potential developments. And the second direction is going to be more experimental, more on the exciting range of things for me. It's going to be about generating intricate plots, conspiracies and betrayals, and along with these new behaviour types, social and cultural mechanics as well. So the devs aim to bring in elements you've never seen in games before, which could really set Norland apart from the crowd of Rimworld or Crusader Kings and the like. In essence, Norland's early access phase is going to be all about evolution. The game's DNA has a lot of potential and it's going to be changing a lot over time. We can't go into specifics yet because I don't think the devs know too much, but it will be an exciting journey. However, if early access isn't your thing, you would have to wait quite a while for the full release on this one, I believe. Alright, let's dive into the heart of Norland, the gameplay mechanics. Imagine you're at the helm of a noble family, each member with their own unique skills and ambitions. They're not just working together, sometimes there are odds, each vying for power in their own way. Just like working with my brother here at LT Gaming. You're going to witness blooming friendships, drunken escapades, a few brutal assassinations here and there, and a bit of seduction for good measure. Your nobles dole out orders to the peasants, lead armies into battles, and study ancient texts brimming with knowledge. Think of it as a blend of Rimworld, The Sims Medieval, shout out to that game, and a dash of Crusader Kings. Your family rules from on high with their complex relationships, creating a dynamic and ever-evolving narrative. Each family member comes with a plethora of skills, or drawbacks often as well, and it determines who's best at the tasks like combat, managing resources, or negotiating deals, which is the crux of the gameplay. Training and educating your family members is crucial, so investment in them as you want to secure the future of your lineage by honing their strengths and unlocking additional talents in the next generation. Beyond skills, each family member has unique traits that shape their personality and capabilities. and you have full autonomy over these in the game setup for your starting characters. Their varied cultural backgrounds also influence how they're perceived and treated by others, and they're going to have a wide range of needs and desires that need to be kept an eye on. Dissatisfaction can lead to resentment, envy, and eventually disloyalty, and that is when the daggers come out. So you're going to calm tensions with gifts and camaraderie, or will you draw first blood and eliminate any threats to your preferred nobles? In my game, I hired on a noble who was just trouble, and I thought to solve the solution was either just to get rid of her rather than to try and placate her needs and so on. At the core of Norland is building and managing your town. The common folk are the backbone of your kingdom. They serve their noble lords with loyalty, but only as long as their needs are being met. Hungry bellies and dry beer barrels can quickly turn deference into rebellion. Each peasant has a unique background, needs and thoughts, and making them somewhat tricky to please at times, but also easy to manipulate. So are you going to be a benevolent ruler, addressing their complaints with compassion and so on, or are you going to be that tyrant, answering dissent with the executioner's axe? And then, of course, when diplomacy fails, it's time to draw swords. Raise your citizen militia, motivate prisoners to fight for their freedom, put your nobles in command to inspire the troops. But each battle comes with a cost. Whose life are you going to put on the line when the banners are being raised? Combat in Norland can be a bit janky, to be honest with you, but it's straightforward. It's certainly not the dominant part of the game, however, in my opinion. Now, I'll touch upon a few mechanics that make Norland quite unique. So one of the standout features for me is the sheer variety of scenarios and options that you can pick within the startup of the game. All of these define your nobles and the world around you. So whether you're going to lead warmongers with penal legions, you're going to educate religious zealots, or plot assassinations with treacherous spy masters, Norland does give you the ability to craft a unique story each time you play, vastly improving the replayability aspect. And then of course we have the world around you. The world map is beautifully laid out and very logical and intuitive to work with as well. Travelling nobles will seek refuge in your town. They'll either sow dissent or work with you, and you can send your family members and envoys out to seek opportunities around the world as well. Bandits will establish camps in the outskirts of civilizations, and other kingdoms will push for alliances or engage in wars of their own. So you can join in on the violent endeavors or live a life of isolation and solitude. It is up to you in this aspect. Okay, we can now talk about the visuals and sound in Norland and the presentation in general. The game's art style is both fun and functional. If you've played games like Rimworld, you'll find Norland's visual style a bit familiar, maybe a little bit derivative, but it's not groundbreaking. It's definitely going to get the job done, however. But it fits the medieval colony sim vibe perfectly. The characters and environments are detailed enough to keep you immersed, with a charming yet practical design that supports the gameplay. As for the audio, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The music and sound effects are okay. They're not bad, but they don't particularly stand out either. Some tracks feel a little bit drab and uninspired, which is a little bit of a letdown. The sound design is clean, functional, and it complements the gameplay without being too obtrusive. Gotta say, the UI is well designed, however, very user friendly, and it made navigation a breeze in this regard. Alright LT gamers, let's break down the pros and cons of Norland from my playthrough experience. Starting with the positives, Norland is a well made and thoughtfully designed colony sim. It's got a generous helping of adult humour thrown in, which gives a unique charm to the game. The core mechanics like managing colonies, production, research and combat work seamlessly and are pretty smooth. I can't fault the developers on these aspects. They've done a great job ensuring the foundational elements are solid. One of the standout features is the world map and the interactions it offers. It throws in almost a layer of grand strategy into the mix. It makes the game more engaging as you don't just manage your colony, but also your relationships with neighbouring kingdoms. So this blend of colony management and strategic gameplay shows huge potential. And I can see Norland growing into an epic entry in the colony sim genre if the developers continue to build on this foundation. Now onto the areas that need a little bit of improvement. First up, a personal gripe of mine, there's no minimap. This might seem minor, but it drove me nuts. It's one of those quality of life features that really makes a difference in the gameplay flow. So devs, please add that in. And while the game is well made, it does feel like an early access title. The layer of intrigue, social dynamics and fun interactions isn't quite fully there yet. The social interactions in particular could use a bit more depth and variety to keep things interesting over longer play sessions. Another point to consider is the pacing. The game can feel glacial at times. Some players might enjoy the slower, more deliberate pace, but I find myself speeding through it more and more to get to more exciting parts. This might be a personal preference, but I think it is worth mentioning. Overall, their early access label is quite apt for Norland. It's a promising start with a solid foundation, but there's definitely room for growth and improvement, and I think it could become a stellar standout title. So those are my thoughts on the strengths and weaknesses of Norland. If you're a fan of colony sims and maybe a little bit of grand strategy, it's definitely one to keep an eye on and jump into if this tickles your fancy. So wrapping things up with my final thoughts for you LT gamers on Norland's early access release. This game feels like an early access title. It's got the foundations of something that could be truly great from both a gameplay and polish perspective. But as a buyer, you need to consider what stage you want to jump in. Do you want to be part of the community that shapes this game, providing feedback and watching it evolve? Or are you looking for a high quality, polished product right from the start? Personally, I enjoy early access phases of the game with potential. It's exciting to see how they develop and improve over time, but I get that it's not everyone's cup of tea. You're essentially going to be buying into a promise, not a guarantee. To sum up, Norland is definitely fun and has a lot to offer, but it's not a fully fleshed out title yet. I can already see many YouTubers being absolutely overwhelmingly positive about this game, but that is often the case with new releases for a variety of reasons, but I think it's important to balance that out with some realistic expectations for you guys, the consumer. If you're into colony sims, you're probably going to have a good time with Norland. Just keep in mind the caveats I've mentioned. The game has huge potential, but it's still a work in progress. If you enjoy being part of a game's growth and don't mind a few rough edges, I'd say give it a try. Otherwise, you might want to wait for more updates to see how it develops. Thanks for sticking with me through this review, guys. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to LT Gaming or join as a member for more updates and reviews. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss a video. See you next time. Bye bye now.